June failed as a leader? Here to break it down with me is Elisabeth Moss, the star producer and director of this episode. Welcome, Elisabeth.
Hi, thank you.
Hi, so nice to see you.
Nice to see you too.
It's a very big question, so let's just dive in. Do you think June has failed as a leader?
It's kind of the question. She's not supposed to be a superhero. She's not supposed to be the leader of the resistance. And that was so beautifully written by Margaret Atwood in the book, that she's so human. So I feel like this is a very big question, because it's what we struggle with every season. You know, it's what we explore.
And for me, and on that note, and you bring up a great point, can you be a leader when you never really wanted to be one to begin with? And that's always what I have seen in June, is this, she's the reluctant hero, right?
Yeah. I think she goes into this thinking very much that she is going to protect her friends and protect handmaids, and she's not going to give up their location. And she's trying to be the leader. She's trying to be that person. And then when Lawrence brings up her daughter, it just makes everything fall apart, because it reveals this essential flaw, which is that she's not a cold, callous, calculating leader of this army. She's a mother who's trying to get her daughter.
For me, I feel like that's the moment where if she had a plan, it all sort of went out the window at that point. Do you think that she has betrayed her followers?
I don't think she's betrayed them. And I think she would defy anyone, any of those women who, some of them are mothers, to say that they wouldn't have done the same thing. Remember, for 80% of episode 3, she doesn't say where they are.
Right, that's right.
It's only until they bring up her daughter. She's willing to get tortured for whatever amount of time.
Right.
She's willing to die to protect those women. That's the same person. And then when she gets out of that van, she's not just going to save herself. It's looking at all those other women. It was really important when we shot it to make sure that we had that moment in the birthmobile of the connecting of the eyes between the women, and to also see how devastated they were, how broken they were beforehand, that they're not even looking at her, that they're just so broken. And June clocks that. She clocks the train, Lydia, and then that idea forms. So she doesn't just jump out of the van for herself.
No, for sure.
I actually don't think she's thinking about herself at all. I mean, that's the thing, is I think at the end of season 3, that was her Joan of Arc moment, right? And we talked about that a lot. Like, that was her moment of, I'm going to put myself on the stake for these girls, and I'm going to distract this guy, and I'm going to run into the woods, and he's going to chase me, and I'm going to get these kids out. And I think she was signing her death warrant with that. And I think she was going, okay, this is it. And they won't let her die. I mean, they pick, you know what I mean? They save her because they need her.
Well, and also to have even a shred of power is very intoxicating for her. And we see her sort of, I mean, for lack of a better term, getting off on it sometimes, and how she can manipulate people. But one thing I didn't want to forget to bring up and ask you about is how much of what we're seeing June do now is based on her thirst for revenge. And how is revenge ultimately going to potentially sabotage her role as a leader moving forward?
Yeah. Okay. So that's really interesting, because I think that's a whole other part of it we haven't talked about, is how Gilead changes you, and how Gilead makes you into somebody that you weren't before.
Right.
And I think you're right. I think that there is revenge involved. June's changed. She's been obviously brutally hurt, but she has also brutally hurt others. She's been responsible now for a few deaths.
Right.
Most of them, like, okay, fair enough,
well,
you know.
And deaths that she sees as warranted.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Most of them were like, okay, well, yeah, that we
right, sure.
But there's been a couple that haven't been so morally.
And that's why I think we're at this crossroads with her, is where we start to see, oh, innocent people are dying now. And I think that's really important to note.
Yeah.
Despite her flaws and her bad decisions, she has a killer instinct to live. even though she
Yeah.
may not want to live. I think there's something in her, a spirit, a sort of animal energy that has kept her alive this long. And I think it's been just stunning to watch. And I wanted to ask what you thought about, we think a lot about leadership in terms of women leaders in this show. And what do you think June represents in terms of her being an example of a female leader? Because, it's a special type of archetype we're talking about here.
Yeah, I think that you can be a leader and you can also be human. You can be a leader and you can also be vulnerable. You think that if June were to step back and sort of embrace that idea, she may actually be an even more successful leader. And I think leading with your instincts as a woman is very powerful. And I don't think you should have to bury those and be like I don't think being like hard is the same thing as being strong.
I agree.
And I think there's actually a line. I think somebody actually says that. Wait, someone says that to her.
That's why it sounded familiar.
Yeah, that's where I got it from. I'm very original.
Hey, you have a lot swirling around in your head right now. So
I just steal my material from the show.
I love that. And this is only further complicated trying to answer this question, which is entirely why we were here today. To continue to give us more to think about, for fans to debate with each other. And we're so honored that you had the time to join us today.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. It's so fun to have this show to do. It's so cool. I want to hear from the fans what their answers are to the one burning question.
Okay, you heard Elizabeth. She wants to know what you think. So tell her using the hashtag #OneBurningQuestion. Thank you for watching.